let's just say, for the sake of argument, it is a pagan holiday. Originally, that's what it was, and the early Christians were like, you know what, we're going to take over this holiday and use it for good. I get a lot of really fundamentalist Christians sometimes come say, you know, you can't do that because God hates anything that's pagan. And they'll sometimes use this passage from Deuteronomy. Do not inquire about their gods, saying, how did these nations serve their gods? That I may do the same. You shall not worship the Lord your God in that way, for every abominable thing that the Lord hates, they have done for their gods. Checkmate Christmas. Let's use a little reason here. Did God command Israel to sacrifice animals before him? Yes. Pagan nations sacrificed animals to their gods. Did God command Israel to build a temple? Pagans built temples. Do pagans breathe air? Well, God said we can breathe air. So maybe it doesn't mean everything. And it does seem to imply you can't do every abominable practice. Things like burning your sons and daughters in fire to their gods. Let me read from Acts. For in him we live and move and have our being, and even as some of your own poets have said, for we are indeed his offspring. Paul is actually quoting pagans, Epimenides and Aratus. Aratus was a Stoic philosopher and a pantheist. And Paul says his words, well, I'm going to use those to talk about the God of Israel. So right there, we see in Scripture, God takes something that a pagan meant for evil, he uses it for good. He reclaims it. And this is what we tend to get in Scripture if you read it. Just because a pagan may have used something for evil in the past, that doesn't mean it is now evil or wrong for us. We see this very clearly in 1 Corinthians 8. Paul here is talking about meat that may have been sacrificed to an idol, and now it's being sold at a market. And he's like, who cares? We know there's only one God, and guess what? He made all the meat. He's the one who's really in control. As long as you're not going to cause your brother to stumble in some way, there's nothing to abstain from. Just because a pagan may have dedicated it to Zeus, that doesn't mean it's now wrong for you. Just because a pagan used something in the past, that doesn't mean it's wrong for Christians in the present.